This episode of Tales from a Gemini, and I'm not going to lie, it's a personal episode. This is like what two friends do, and the camera just happened to catch it. This is my friend, Tammy Pescatelli. Tammy's one of the top comics in the country, and she's been that way for the last 20 years. She pulls no punches. She talks openly about the feud she's had, about the cancel culture, about why she was canceled and how she doesn't care. She's truly one of the best comics out there, and more than anything, she's my friend. And this is what you get when you get two comics talking real, and the camera just happens to be there. And I guarantee you will love this episode. Enjoy. Yeah.
I'm ready.
Here we go. It's my favorite intro in the whole world. It never gets old, Wyatt. Never gets old. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Never gets old. Hey, Tales from a Gemini. This is BT. And this might be, I've had a couple of people who I'm really, really, really tight with, and this is one of them. Right now, she's been kicking ass in comedy for the last, I'd say, man, I don't put her age out there, but the last years. And it's funny because I was there when she first stepped on stage. And we're just gonna bring her. She's known as the verbal assassin, Tammy the Bull Pescatelli. How are you, Tammy?
I'm good, my friend. I don't mind if you say my age. I'm old, but
you're not
I'm
old.
still.
Don't even start that shit.
Oh, I am. I'm 51 years old.
Don't start
look
that
at
shit. You still look. And I do mean beautiful. I mean, you still look beautiful. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Because I saw you in Vegas, or 3 or 4 years ago. I think we had breakfast or lunch or whatever. And I was like, man, you look good, Tam. And I know you were like, I think you were busy. I think the fam was out there. So you made some time for me, which I appreciate it. And we caught up a little bit. But now, man, I'm so appreciative for this. And I was like, I remember I was riding my motorcycle going, who could I have for a guest? And I think we had just messaged each other on Twitter. And I was like, you know what? Tammy, because I like to catch up with her and talk about old times and everything else. And I mean, I've never been so happy for somebody's success than you, because I remember, and you always mention Ohio, but we met in Iowa, and you went on stage for the first time ever. And I was there for you. And then after that, it's been, you shot up like a rocket. And now look at you. Look at my little girl grown up.
Oh, you're so sweet. You know, I don't know if it was a rocket. It was like a 20-year rocket, but it's funny because that's right. You were there on my first open mic because I was just living in the Quad Cities for the summer, supposed to be hanging out with my parents because I had an internship. I just graduated from college. I didn't know anybody. So I was like, how do you meet someone when you're 20, 21? Like, what do you do? So you go work at a comedy club, make a little money. I loved stand up. So I thought, wow, I could just watch some great stand up and I'll go to New York in the fall. And then I fell in love with it. I met a lot of friends, and me and my big mouth decided to get on stage.
You know what I remember? And it was great because we were friends. It was cool because especially back at that time, I was wilding. But and so it was weird that it was weird that we were always just friends. And considering, during that time what I was doing, that I never hit on you, I was always respectful to you. And I just remember, this is how I was living my life, Wyatt. I was, my producer's like 19, so he likes to hear stories like this, but I was 19. I mean, he's 19, so I was young in comedy, in my early 20s. And I just remember I had a shirt on layaway. We did it back in the day. I had a shirt on layaway. When I finally got it out of layaway, I had Tammy.
Explain to them what layaway was. Explain to them what layaway was.
Layaway
you pay a little bit of money every week.
Layaway, and black people love layaway. That's why they did away with it. Because I bought a shirt.
Try to keep you down.
I didn't have
Kanye did away with it. Kanye and those sneakers, he killed layaway. That's what happened.
I didn't have enough money for it. So I put like a little money down here, a little money down there. And I go, hey, Tammy, could you do me a favor, go pick this up for me? And I swear I think she had that shirt for like 2 years when I finally got that shirt.
I think I remember it was like a mustard yellow silk shirt, like Jodeci, like you were about to flip it back and do a Jodeci video.
And I just remember me, you, and Sparkman in your kitchen at about 1 a.m, trying to be quiet and not wake your parents up. And I think we're eating, was it pizza or something? And I just remember great memories, man. And I mean, I just remember we were eating pizza and I was like, I think Sparkman like, this is like a porno. We were in your house in the kitchen eating the pizza. And Sparkman was like, this is like a porno. And we were trying to stifle our laughter so hard. And I just remember that.
And don't you? I think my dad came down.
He may
You
have.
know, my father was 6'5", 350 pounds. Like he was in good shape then, and he was an ex-pro football player. And he came downstairs, and he was like, "What is going?" And then he kept talking. I think he talked to you guys, and I went to bed. I think he was talking about working out and stuff. It was fun.
Yeah, that was when I was bigger.
But
I was really into working out. Yeah.
Yeah, because the funny thing was I remember the next day coming in and Spark goes, your dad is cool because I don't know how many dudes would come downstairs and make sure that these two black dudes who are talking to his daughter had enough to eat.
I mean, how great was that? I mean, that's the truth, though. I mean, if you really think about back in the day, yeah, he comes down, there's two black dudes in his kitchen, eating with his daughter, and he thought nothing of it. There was no cross, like, what the hell's going on? It was just, and it was a cool time. Man, that was so much fun. And we just remember, and this was before social media. So that was when, like, if you didn't see somebody, you didn't see somebody. It was like, hey, how's Tammy doing? You just found out through word of mouth because we didn't have social media. And I like, okay, Tammy's doing comedy. And man, and you went on, you worked for a radio station. Turns out, I didn't know you earned 3 Clio Awards. You won 3 Clio Awards.
You know what I did? Those you're so sweet. I was the spokesperson for Hy-Vee. Do they have Hy-Vee in Indianapolis now?
No,
I don't know.
no.
Hy-Vee is a very Midwest grocery store. So it's in like 17 states in the Midwest. And that's I know you were with me because it was very Jerry Seinfeld day. And they had me go on stage, and I say I had the lesbian comedian uniform on because they made me wear a vest and a jacket and a t-shirt, my hair all crazy. And I would say, it was the big flash. I would say Hy-Vee Comedy Club. And I would say, if a cow laughs, does milk come out its nose? This week on sale at Hy-Vee, milk for $3.25 a gallon. And me and some of these names like Mark Gross, who went on to write for all these Chuck Lorre sitcoms, and Craig Peters, so many. But the guy who put that together was the manager of the Des Moines Funny Bone. And it turns out he was making more than all of us. He was taking a location fee. He was taking a performing fee, right? Yeah, Mark Johnson. He was taking everything from us.
Yes, he did. That was, and people who don't know about comedians or whatever, I mean, the guy that booked it, it's a true story. I mean, it involves Sparkman. My best friend's a comedy named Sparkman. He did a gig, I think, in Ames, Iowa. And after the show was over, people go, oh my God, that was great. I can't believe we got you at such a low price. I mean, and Spark, I think, got $100. And Spark like, really? He goes, most comedians get like $1,200. And I think Mark Johnson got like $1,200 and gave Spark like $100 or $150. And I mean, man, that was one of the funniest things ever. And I laughed and I laughed. Yeah, and I laughed. He got over $1,000.
He got us every time because you didn't want to say anything because you didn't want to get in trouble.
Yes.
Like you couldn't. When I hear these young girls talk about what they consider sexual harassment or unfair work, do you know what I had to go through by the people who booked me that I didn't say anything?
Yes.
I lived in a condo with 2 guys every week. A lot of times I didn't know them, and there weren't even keys for the condo because they just left the door open.
Yes.
Whoever came in.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? But think, okay, for now that everything's all the Me Too movement, everything's different now. Like back in your day, did anything ever get weird? I mean, because if you look on it now,
lots of times. Sure. I mean, I had several incidents, but you handled it yourself. Like it never got too weird because I mean, that's what helped me grow. Like I just stomped it right out, and you couldn't complain because they would take it out on you as the woman because there weren't a lot of us, I mean, I just wanted to be a comedian,
right?
But sure, there was the very, very, very first week on the road. I'm staying in the condo in Des Moines. There you go. That should have been my problem. I should have stayed away. And, the feature act, it's like 2:00 in the morning, comes pounding on my door, boom, 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 boom. And he had went out after the show. Turns out he was a huge alcoholic. I didn't know what I was doing. I woke up, I'm like, what's going on? And then he was like, let me in. I wanna, you know, like I don't know what to say. Like he really said the word, but like I wanna blank you.
You can say
And
it.
I'm like,
I mean, fuck it. We're
can I?
uncensored.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
Good,
fuck
good.
yeah.
I didn't know what your level was.
No.
Okay, good. He goes, I want to fuck you. I'm like, then I'm kind of clear my head and I go, get the hell away from my door. But that's all because I didn't really have, I'm only 24, you know, I'm not strong the way I am now. And I was like, go away, go back to your room. And then all of a sudden, Matt King, the magician.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's like pulling on my door. Matt King, the magician, was the headliner that week. He came out of his room with a brick because Mac was a little guy, but in his acts, he used to put a brick in his, like if a joke didn't go well, he'd pull the brick out of his suit. Yeah. He came with his brick and told the guy to go back to the room. And then the next day, while the guy was sleeping it off, he took me aside and he goes, if you're going to be in this industry, you're going to have to learn how to take care of yourself. Because, I mean, you know, I used to say I was cute by default because there weren't a lot of women in comedy. So, you know.
I mean, that's a sad story, but that's what we do in comedy, make it fun. But that's horrible. That's horrible for him to do that, man. It's scary, actually, is what it is.
It was. And listen, that same condo, I stayed with that convicted rapist 17 times and got, right? Like, yeah, he raped 17 people. I stayed with him 2 days before he was arrested. And the FBI interrogated me because they didn't understand. They kept saying, your boyfriend. I'm like, I don't know this guy.
Was Vince Champ?
Well, why did you stay? Yeah. Yeah. They said, why did you stay with him then? You stayed with him Monday night in Des Moines. You don't know him. You're lying to us. I'm like, I don't know him. And then I had to wait until they got a hold of someone to the comedy club so they could explain the system. I didn't know him. I was just staying a day over. You know, like those condos were gold. Those condos, you're right. We didn't see each other, but we had the number to the condo. So we would call each other all the time. Like if I knew you were in Des Moines, I'd call you because that's where I could find you.
But also remember one time you floated me a solid because for some reason you couldn't do, I think, the Sunday night in Des Moines. And I was coming through and you go, listen, they got me a hotel room. You can just have my hotel room. It was at a Super 8. I remember that shit. It was a Super 8. You go, you can just have my hotel room and I'm leaving. And you left early and I got your room at the Super 8. And I go, and I told Spark, I go, yeah, man, Tammy left me her hotel room. It was great. So I remember that shit. Yeah, I mean, little shit like that. People don't realize, and people who are uninitiated, is that back in the day we called it a condo, but it was actually a shitty apartment they all put the comic stuff in.
Horrible.
And you had to live like it was an 86 spring break. And you know, and they still have them in some places. You go, and I get my own hotel and they go, why don't you want to stay in the condo? I go, because I'm not fucking 22 years old. I'm a grown man. I got to live with other people. That's why I want my whole fucking hotel room. Sometimes you just want to be alone.
Well, it was disgusting. And I had to carry a murder kit basically with me, like, you know, duct tape and bleach and blankets. But I think we were all really close because we lived together. You know what I mean? I think that really made, we had a great camaraderie of the group of us that were coming up together. I think, you know, you spent the day, you went and saw the free movies, you did the show.
Or Old Country Buffet, because if you were working comic on the road and you were opening, you weren't making no money. So what you do, at least, and what I would do is I'd go work out early. I get my workout in, and around anywhere between 12 and 3, I go to Old Country Buffet, and back when I ate meat, and I loaded up on everything, and that would last me throughout the whole day. And then you go to the club, you get to eat for free, and you eat free at the club, and that's how you made, and that's how you got by back in the day. And man, I mean, look, think about it now. Oh my God. I mean, how great was that? I mean, seriously, you ate it.
No, you're right. All of it. I remember keeping $1, trying to like making sure that I had $1 because for me, I would go over to Taco Bell and I'd get a bean burrito because you get a bean burrito for $1. And I'm like, that'll fill me up. That's good. It's all protein. Like that was my thing. Or you're the one who taught me to keep the hotel keys so you could go get the free breakfast from La Quinta. We don't do it anymore, but hey, we needed to eat.
You know what, man? Yeah, thinking about little things like that. I mean, that's wow. The little things like that. The free breakfast, or the if you come in at the right time, you traveled all night on a one nighter, and you go to the nice hotel at the right time and kind of blend in with everybody going to eat, and they don't know you don't live there. And some,
Well, and I've more than made up for it because I now catch the first flight out in order to get home, and I miss the breakfast. So for anybody complaining who's upset, I have missed a lot of breakfasts that I'm entitled to. Breakfasts, whatever.
Now,
Breakfasts.
did you ever road dog it? I mean, because I didn't know, honestly. There was a period where we didn't see each other, and I know you were doing your thing, but like, did you ever road dog it? Like, did you ever do like, like the one nighters and this and that? But I know because I know you had that radio gig. So did you like?
Well, I had that, and yeah, I quit when I was. I quit. I did open mic and radio gig. I got it at the same time. The first open mic, they offered me the radio show, so I did that for 2.5 years. I quit full time and went full time on the road in 1994, and I was on the road. I mean, I've never not been on the road. I moved back to Cleveland in 95 and then to LA in 2001. And yeah, all those gigs. I just was lucky that because of starting in Des Moines, Davenport at a Funny Bone, owned by the guy who owned the Cleveland Improv, I was able to play all those improvs and Funny Bones over and over and over and over. But yeah, I had to have second jobs in the building that I lived in, working for security or the gym that was in the building. So yeah, I had a roommate until I was 30 years old.
Well, don't say that. I have a roommate now, and I'm 53. So I mean, seriously, though, you gotta say that. Hurt my feelings.
You're still traveling, though. You're still back then too, when we traveled, like you couldn't even be reached. It was, if you had a phone, it was a bag phone. You had a pager, and I'd try to call people back at an 800 pager.
No, people don't realize this. Back in the day, if you were doing comedy on the road back in the day, you had that number. Remember that John Lithgow, 1-800-999, whatever. And so what we do is, if you knew a comedy club was booking on a Tuesday at a certain time, you literally would stop your car at a rest area, gas station, whatever, and it had things for millennials listening. They had a thing called a payphone. And what you do is you go in and you put that number in, and it had all those long numbers, and if you messed up one of them, you go, God damn it, you had to start all over again, and you call and go, hey, it's Dave there. Dave said call back in 15 minutes. Fuck! And then you had to wait, and then you finally call it, and hope, and you have a black book. You literally had a black book, and you mark the dates off. You go, okay, I'm good for the next 3 months. And that's how you lived, man. And that's how you lived. And I just remember, and I didn't know anything about you. So what I always want to ask you, though, what was your initial goal? Because I remember when you went on stage the first time, and we talked after you got on stage, but what was your initial goal when you first got in the business? Like you went on stage for the first time, and then after that, what was your plan? Or did you have one?
Well, I don't know when the plan developed, but my big goal ultimately was, the moment you get to be an open micer, you want work. So I wanted to work. And that was the thing too. Like you'd go to work and you'd work the club, and then you'd ask them for a week before you left. You know what I mean? It wasn't agents and managers. I can remember, I have to say this real quick. I remember you, me, and Spark, and I think Gross was with us at a condo with 2 VCRs trying to dub all of our tapes, because you had to get a VCR tape to mail packages. And I had swiped, because I'm Sicilian, I had swiped there was a comedy Bible that was like, they charged like $150 for, with all the comedy club addresses. Remember, somebody put it together, and I made copies of it for all of us at my dad's office. So we all sat there one day like sweatshops people and made little dubs of our sets, because it's not like one click and there's my viral video. You had to send that tape, called 200 times to make sure they watched the tape.
Yes.
And then anyway, but yeah, so I guess my first goal, though, buddy, was, I think I wanted to just do the Tonight Show, because the very first time I did the Tonight Show was in 2003. And the next day I was very depressed, because I hadn't really thought past that, because I thought you do the Tonight Show and like your whole world would open up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just thought, oh, this will be it. Like there'll be billboards with my name on them, So, I mean, I had no clue.
Well, But you didn't think beyond that. What did you think was gonna? That you thought the phone was gonna blow up? Did you have a manager by then or an agent by then? At that time,
I had a manager by then because I just went to Just for Laughs, and I think I did have an agent too by then. Just for Laughs was a big deal for me because that's where I got an agent and a manager that was like in 2000. I moved to LA in 2001. 2002, I got to go to New Faces. That was the year they stopped giving out development deals. I'm always the person that shows up the year after things quit moving. I'm very Larry David life. I have just enough success for people to kind of know who I am, and not enough for me to be rich. So like,
yes.
So it's just a pain. So I mean, I think I ultimately at the beginning wanted to be famous. I just know, or wanted to be heard. No one listened to me in my house. That's probably why I got the microphone, and I had my big father, or I probably would have stripped, but it was just, I needed attention.
You wouldn't have stripped. You wouldn't have stripped.
I needed attention. Like,
you wouldn't have stripped.
Yeah,
I know you did.
No.
But you were, I just remember going, and I don't know if anybody else knows this story, but I just remember going to Cleveland. We were in Cleveland. And this is the greatest. Like, we had a good, I think either I was working and you were working. One of us was working in Cleveland. And it was me because I was going through. Because I remember that. And I just remember us going to that nightclub. And some girl.
Oh, God.
Oh, this is the greatest story. We're at a nightclub at a good time. And I think some girl was eyeballing you. And I just remember on the dance floor going, okay, what's Tammy talking to her about? Next thing you know, I could tell you were pissed. And then next thing and I see punches fly, and I go, okay, we're going. I just remember, okay, we're going. Do you remember that?
Okay. I love, all right. Okay, now that's your version, and I like it. Yeah, but you're very close. So I remember you were there. It was me, and my cousin, and you. We were having a great time. I think there were some people from the improv who came over. This guy kept coming over to talk to me. The girl was eyeballing me, and when I went to step up to get up on the stage area where everybody was dancing, she checked, like, kind of shoulder checked me, and she was a little tiny girl.
I remember that. Blonde.
And that's when she was really cute and tiny. And then I didn't punch her, I mushed her.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. I remember that. Her. And I was like, okay,
because I was like, get away. I mean, by that point, I was emotionally strong. I was physically strong. I was like, and I just mushed her. And I remember she came at me and I punched her and I said, I was trying to be nice to you. Like I was trying. She came at me again and I mushed you to get away from you. And then I cracked her and she was on the ground and I was like, and then you pulled me away. And then you were like, that's the greatest. Then you were like laughing at me for years after going, that's your Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. I was trying to be nice to you.
I go, we got to go now.
Every story. That's why I went to therapy. That's it. That's why I went to therapy, because every story that anybody had of me during those early years, the late 90s, early 2000s, was me telling someone off or knocking someone out. I'm like, I think I really need to get myself together and get straight.
When did you knock somebody out?
Well,
I want to hear that shit. I didn't. Yeah, tell me that. Tell me a knock. I like fighting story. I am still old school. I like a fighting story or a fuck story. I really do. I mean, seriously, I'm still old school. Those are the fun stories.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what happened. So that guy, of that night, I went on to date.
Yeah.
For about 2 years.
I remember that. Right. Horror
but
story.
I didn't know. He was horrible. He was a boxer. I didn't know what a big piece of crap he was, because we were only home on Monday and Tuesdays. So, like, you could just, as long as you're nice on Monday and Tuesday, like, how do we, like, like, I can't, I'll see you. Like, he would drive me to the airport so he was sure I was gone so he could go cheat on me.
And for people that don't know why she said when she says Monday and Tuesdays, because as a comic back in those days, clubs were really long. I mean, the Columbus Columbus Funny Bone went from Tuesday through Sunday. Most clubs went from at least Tuesday through Sunday. So that's why or Wednesday through Sunday at least. So that's why she says Monday and Tuesday. So go ahead, proceed.
Yeah, right. Tuesday sometimes was only the morning you were leaving to go to work. So He was very violent, and I never came from that, so I didn't know how to talk about it with anyone. I was very private about it.
Yeah.
He created problems everywhere we went, and I just never. I wasn't. I just really didn't know. And I can remember he. It's a rough story, so trigger for anyone, but it works out well at the end.
If you wanted to, if you don't want to tell it, that's fine. But if you want to, that's great.
No. I just tell it, but it's a trigger alert for other people.
Okay.
He was choking me.
Okay.
Boom, choking me. I'm on the ground, right? And this is a very comedic thing in a weird way because he had very blue eyes. And when he was choking me, they were black. And I remember as I almost passed out, I remember thinking, oh, OJ really did do it. Because I had thought that he hadn't done it. But I remember that they said OJ's eyes turned black. You know what I mean? When he was angry and stuff like that. And I remember thinking, OJ really did do it. Like, that's how dumb I am. But when I woke up, he was standing over me, and I don't know, I just went crazy, and I beat the hell out of him, and I hit him with like a TV remote on the side of the head, and he got knocked out. And then
Nice.
I changed my number, I moved, and I never heard from him again until he showed up at a show, and then and pretended like nothing had happened. Crazy people always just show up and act like you just had a conversation.
Hey,
they
baby.
just finished the conversation. Remember? So, and then I said, "What the hell is going on?"
My God. Did it scare you though when he did? Did it scare you? Or were you like?
Yeah, I was petrified. But I think ultimately it just taught me a lot. That's probably why I became such a good comic, because I felt comedy saved my life, because I had to leave. If I wouldn't have left, say I had a regular job working, at a mall or whatever, I'd have been there every day. Of course, maybe I wouldn't not, maybe I'd have found out sooner. But once you have to leave, and then you're hanging out with, your friends, and I wasn't someone who dated comics, but guys were my friends, so I would,
Right. Oh yeah, you know what's great is I just remember, because I talk to comics now and I go, man, you know what I meant? I said the only thing with a female comic other than a male comic is that you can't really play the dozens with a female comic. That's what, you know what I mean? And that's what and you were one of the people you could. I mean, we never did because but you were one of those people. You were one of the guys, and that's what I miss about comedy now. It's like I have nobody to, because I do another podcast called Sorry We're Canceled with another comic called Dion Curry. And man, we can fuck with each other all the time. If he brings me up on stage, I go, keep it going, everybody, for Dion. Dion's got he's a grown man with a sophomore body. He's got the body of a high school sophomore. And and then when I leave, he goes, keep it going for BT. He's got to be in bed because he's old, or whatever. And we go back and forth, and that's fun. And that's what I miss about it. And I just remember, and I always said the only thing different with a female comic is you can't really play the dozens with them. You know what I mean? Because it's a different thing. You kind of got to let them have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I remember bringing you up going, and pay no attention, because he's swollen. He had an allergic reaction, because you were all worked out. I'm like, I think, pay no attention, guys. Don't bring it up because he's swollen. He had an allergic reaction. Please welcome BT. Just stuff. But that's what. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go. Keep going, please.
Well, I think that's kind of what happened in that Tony Hinchcliffe situation.
Yeah.
But it didn't ring funny. But that's what we were supposed to do. Like, that kid was doing a whole cheerleading bit about how far cultures have come. And so Tony just went on stage and was like, give it up for him. That's what we were brought up in. It just doesn't ring correct nowadays.
It almost, I get it, but it's kind of like, oh man, it's like they kind of, I can't say ruin comedy, but it just makes it kind of like I think sometimes you feel like, and I can just tell sometimes in this interview when you were going to say something, you're like, I better pull back on this because this could get me in trouble, or they might interpret it the
No,
wrong
I'm
way.
uncancelable. I don't care.
Well, good
They
for
tried
you.
to cancel me several times. That's why I created that show, Cancel This Comedy Tour.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. How did that come
I'd love
about?
to have you be part of it.
Well, you already got one black guy with a bald head, so you don't need two.
Yeah, well, we're gonna move on. I wanted to work without me, even. No, because they tried to cancel me when someone was lifting material, and I just was I was the fourth person to call him out. But
No, who was it? We'll call him out here. Who was it?
well, I mean, there's videos everywhere. The situation was very clear that Amy Schumer had at least a thought process that was repeating on several people's jokes.
Okay.
There's videos that show 2 hours of videos that show it. So whatever, it's not personal. This is business. I mean,
Right.
this is not, but we also grew up in a different time, BT,
Yes.
that that comics had the camaraderie that if you got off stage and you did something that was similar to someone else's, someone would pull you aside and go, hey, that's Rod Paulette's, or so-and-so does a bit that's very similar to that. You might want to check it out. And I said, I was the fourth one. Three people ahead of me called her out for lifting their jokes. And the problem is that, again, I'm Sicilian and I came in the strongest and the hardest. And in 2016, I said, we want you to do well. Just do it with your own material. And then I wrote, trying to be funny, before Me Too, at least Cosby knocks his victims out before he rapes them. It's a hysterical joke.
Oh,
but they got all the Lena Dunhams of the world to go, rape isn't funny. And I know, I don't make jokes about it.
Yeah.
You guys do in your act. But so they tried to cancel me. I lost my manager. I lost my agent.
Are you serious?
I lost a deal with they made phone calls saying how they tried to cancel me at clubs. I lost everything, man. Yeah.
I mean,
But
was it devastating for you at the time, or you have the same attitude like you have now, like, oh well?
Well, no, it was devastating at the time because when everybody runs away from you, it's amazing. That's how you figure out who your friends are. When you get canceled, people show up that you didn't expect, and people who you expected to be there aren't there. And, I lost my best friend in the whole thing. And the point of it was too, is it was very clear. It was all documented. If anybody really looked, I was fourth person to say something, and that team only went after me. But here I am with no agent and no manager going up against U2's publicist. Her publicist is Bono's publicist. Her publicist was Madonna's publicist. And that's when I learned about fake news years ago. Like, that's not about just politics. Whoever has the biggest publicist wins in the press, and the press believes everything.
Wow. I had no idea about this. I mean, I'm being dead serious. I would have been there for you, but I had no idea. I think because, in a way, when you're trying to find your own way, it's like I would see you from afar and be like, okay, good for Tammy, but I never really got into that. I had no idea about this. I really didn't. And I apologize.
That I think what hurt. Oh no, don't apologize. I mean, that's very sweet because I did feel very alone. But I think for me, which you would kind of get, like, I just wanted to. I'm a comic. I'm a comics comic. I love the art. I don't care about fame anymore. It's not about getting TV shows. It's just about doing good work. I just need more people to come to my show every time. I want the ones who show up to have a good show, and them to bring 4 like-minded friends the next time. That's all it's really been for me for years. The fame is gone. I don't care about that. And I was hurt because I'm also not girly enough. They made it into a cat fight. And I'm like, I had to set whatever that girly stuff is down in order to be this far in this career. So it's not jealousy. That's demeaning. It's about, man, if I was a construction worker and you took my tool belt, we'd be fighting.
Well, look what Joe Rogan did for with Carlos Mencia, and he went on stage and confronted him, and everybody applauded Joe. You know what I mean? Which I'm glad, but it's like, but then you're the one that takes the arrows. Like you said, you're the fourth person, and you're the one that took the arrows.
Yeah, it's weird. But, Joe did lose everything, and Joe lost his manager and agent and all that stuff too for a little bit. And I think for me, though, I was kind of, because again, it is not personal. I don't have a vendetta. It kept breaking my heart because I didn't have a special out, and my comedy bits were getting parceled out into scenes in movies and jokes on other people's specials. So it was hard. So I think that, I wanted just to be clear about what's our stuff. And by the way, I'm no genius. I don't have any but I think it did help my act.
Stop it right there.
Well, I think it helped my act.
Stop it. First of all, what people don't understand is, and if you're watching this and you're not a comic and you're watching from afar, you think you're a comedy fan. Let me tell you what happens sometimes. And this, before social media, you have an LA comic will come into the Midwest and do comedy. And if you had a joke they liked, they would just lift it. And so they go back to LA and they think it's their comment. And so if you do that joke, they go, hey, so-and-so did that joke. And if they do it on TV or on, say, Tonight Show or something,
you're done.
You're done. They think you're a thief. Okay. And then, so you go back to LA and then you have a showcase for a big time, like the Comedy Store or the Laugh Factory. And they go, somebody else does that joke. You go, really? Who? It doesn't matter. You just got to do your own material. Like, oh, so who does my joke? And they never would tell you. Okay. And then they do a comedy special and lift your joke and you have no representation. You are done. And because they're going to say, who's more famous? Kevin Hart or you? So Kevin Hart, you stole Kevin Hart's joke. No, and I'm just using Kevin Hart as an example. But that's what happens. And people don't realize that. So it's so frustrating when it happens because, like you said, you might say you're not a genius, but man, you have a line that's a great line. And those comics will lift that and then they point the finger back. You going, you took that from so-and-so's act. You go, no, I didn't. That's mine.
And by the way, I get that because it's happened to all of us. That's why comics are friends, because sometimes something gets in the back of your mind. Like, I don't really watch comedy anymore because I don't want to think I just came up with that joke because I'm not, there's so many comics now. In the old days, we knew everybody's acts, so you don't want to watch. I don't want to watch too many comedians now because I don't want it to be like a repressed memory, which it could be. There is linear thinking. But when I was going through all that, there was an Oscar winning director who reached out. I was blown away by this guy. And he was also a writer. And he said, look, there are only so many facts about dinosaurs. And if you go to the library, there are 200 books about dinosaurs. He goes, but nobody in the library, when they open up that book, sees the same sentence structure the exact same way in each book. It's all written completely different. And when they take a joke and they say it the exact same way, maybe changing a word or something, then that's a lift.
Wow. Did it make you feel better? Seriously, did it?
Yeah, definitely. All of it, you wouldn't believe who showed up versus who left. Yeah. And ultimately, man, I'm uncancelable because the truth is you can't trick the audiences. My audience shows up year after year. I put my time in. I worked as an MC, a feature, a headliner. They've watched me for the 26 years I've been on the road. Let
me tell you something, man. I got to get this out before I forget. I don't know why, but it hit me so hard in a good way. When you did that way after school special on Amazon Prime, I swear I watched it and I don't know why, but that hit me in a good way. And I just thought that was so brilliant and beautiful at the same time. And it resonated with me. And I can't really find the words to say, but I just remember I go, oh, Tammy's got a special, because it's always like, oh, Tammy's got a special. And I looked at that special and man, from the very beginning, when the teacher's talking to you, so you think you're a comedian? And you go, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. And you were chewing the gum and you got up with the cheerleader uniform and you went to that and you did it. And I just thought that was brilliant. It was simple, but I thought it was brilliant the way you did that. I really did. I applauded that. Was that your own coming up with that and everything? Did you have a think tank or whatever? Like, what should we do? Because I just thought.
No, well, yeah, it was me. I'll tell you the onus for that. First of all, I had to do it all myself. Thank God for Andrew Dorfman. That's who played the teacher, the owner of Stand Up Live and Zanies and comic himself. He helped me really figure it out because I had that deal to do that special. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that I lost. Oh. So I had to come up and fund that myself. And I wanted, normally you just let it go, but I had already promised, I filmed it in 2017. I had already promised the kids at the school that they could work alongside of professionals because when I was in 10th grade and I told my guidance counselor I wanted to be on television, she was like, no one from here has ever been on TV. If you want to be on TV, you're going to have to rob a bank. So she literally told me like, it's impossible. No one is going to take you on TV. It's going to be, So I literally I thought, okay, I'm going to go back to the high school. We created a scholarship. We had kids that were in high school work alongside the professionals so they would get a credit on a television production before they ever left high school. I thought it was like, really good. And then when the network decided that they didn't want me anymore because they had sided with other people, that I lost that. So we did that. But I really was going to go tell the guidance counselor off too, in a sense, like I was going to have her introduce me and go, hey, see what you were a misguidance counselor. And she died.
Oh.
She died. Yeah. So if you're going to do revenge, try to do it quick. Don't serve it cold. Just try to turn right around and give it to them,
She died. So oh, man.
I don't sound very good in this interview, do I? I've been punching people.
No, I think
have
it's
vengeance.
Great. This is old school.
I'm making fun of people.
No, this is
I'm
real.
Just who I am,
no, that's what I'm saying. This is real. This is no artificial shit. This is how we came up in the bed. That's why we look at some stuff and go, God, you guys are pussies. I mean, I get some things. I think some things are great. I really do. And it's like you said, in especially about millennials. I think it's great. But there's sometimes it's comes at a point you got to man the fuck up sometimes. You know what I mean? And
right.
But the reason I want to ask you this was the reason you kind of it was a little bit cleaner than normal. Was it because you were working around kids? Because I watched a special.
No, because there were no kids that are there, and it just kind of evolved that way. When I had my son, I wanted him to be able to come to my shows. I never was dirty, but I would swear. I never did sex stuff.
But no, the funniest thing, no, I thought, because I saw it on another thing you did, and then you did it on a special, and you cleaned it up. You said hell instead of fuck, but you talked about a safe word with your husband, and you go, safe word? How about just get the fuck off me? That, my God, that made my stomach hurt. Safe word? How about just get the fuck off me? And then you do on the special, you go,
I go, all one word with the hashtag.
Yeah. And then you did it on the special, you go, get the hell off me. And I noticed, I was like, okay, maybe she, because she went back to, your whole high school. So it was maybe she cleaned up for that. But I just thought that was a brilliant special. About the idea behind it, I just really loved it. I've always loved your career and what you did. Now, when did you leave LA? Because I remember, and people don't know, that when we were in LA, there was a one-nighter in LA, and it wasn't a comedy club. It was called Dublin's. Jay-Z, matter of fact, mentioned in one of his songs, he goes at Dublin's and Dublin's.
Dublin and Dublin.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, what it was that was the place to be on a Tuesday night. And I said, when I say place to be, this was, and I think was it pre Last Comic Standing, I think? Or was it post?
Yeah, pre and during. I mean, that was a place where I'd get on stage. Vince Vaughn would be there, Justin Timberlake and Cameron Diaz.
I saw DMX there. I saw DMX, Morris Day. And you don't understand, man, this was the place. This was everybody who's who in Hollywood was on a Tuesday night. And I remember
that's where Prince invited me back to his place. I mean, after I got off stage. And that was a whole different story.
No,
but,
you can't. No, you can't just act like Prince. Anyway, so back to you, BT. No, so what about Prince again? What was it?
Because they would dance. Dublin's afterwards would dance, right?
Dance
so
club,
Prince was there, saw the act, and sat there, and like everybody was like, Prince wants to meet you. And I went back there at the table, and he's like, with his lollipop, and I love Prince. I was voted most likely to run away with Prince, like. Yes. And it is a little disconcerting when you meet someone like that and they're diminutive. The presence is huge.
Right.
But, I mean, the guy who I was sexually attracted to in high school is now smaller than I was in high school. When you meet him, that's not really, but still, I was in love with Prince. So let's not get it twisted. Okay. But they said that he wants to meet you. So he's at his booth and I'm like, I sat down next to him. I'm like, oh my God, I'm, big fan. I love your albums. And he's just, looking at me like beautiful eyes, just looking at his thing, looking at it. And I go, at the time I thought he was mixed too. I thought he was Italian, and I said something about representing Italians and whatever. And then he just never said anything. And I mean, I'm sitting there for a little bit and it's cool. But then after a while, like I'm grown, it's a little bit uncomfortable because you're just not saying anything.
Right.
So I go, well, thanks so much. It was so nice meeting you. I'm glad you laughed. And I go to get up, and his bodyguard stops me from getting up out of the boot. Like I'm standing there, and I'm standing with the bodyguard. And he goes, where are you going? And I go, well, he's not speaking. So, no, I said, he's not talking. And the bodyguard said, well, he doesn't speak. And I said, yes, he does. I have all his albums. And I walked right past him, and he was dying. And then he sent the girl after me, and she came out and was dancing with me for a while, and we became friends. And she told me her name was Tara, and she was from Cincinnati, but it was Carmen Electra.
Wow.
Yeah. And wanted me to come back to the house. And then I kind of knew what was the deal, and I was not down for, wasn't down for that.
Oh my God, Tammy. Yes. Yeah. But you know what? I remember we took a picture in Dublin in a booth, and I think you had a white fur coat or something like that. I remember.
Probably I was styling back then.
You've always been styling. You've always, honestly, you're one of the first I remember being on stage who was funny and hot at the same time. You go on stage, you go, whoa, and then you laugh, but you were funny hot.
Well, thank you.
No,
well,
always, and you like I said, you're still killing it. You are still killing. Yes, you do.
No.
Yes,
it's hard. It's hard. Thank you so much. I will say though, it took years for me to get on stage without someone saying, show me your tits. And then now I'm like, what happened to that? No one wants to see him anymore. No, I wish I'd have showed him them. I wish I would have done. Remember the Playboy thing that they offered me? I remember talking to you, and I forgot. I don't. Maybe Spark was around. Remember they did Funny Women of Playboy, and they offered me money to do it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it so bad, in a sense, because it was 25 grand. First of all, I knew my father would kill me, and it wouldn't have been fair to my brothers. But I also thought, I got to live in this condo with all these guys, and it doesn't feel safe of them having naked pictures of me. I do remember you calling me one time and asking me if I did a porno, because the girl in the porno looked just like me. I wish I could find that girl to this day, because I would tell people it was me.
That sounds like, you know what? I vaguely remember that going, that looks like Tammy. I should feel guilty right now, but I'm not. I should feel guilty. I think I stopped what I was doing. Like, that looks like Tammy. Oh, well. It's amazing the stuff we remember and the stuff we don't like. Really? I said that? But yeah.
I remember you going, hey, I got a question for you. And usually it's like, do you have the number for this booker? Or do you have, what do you think? How much should I ask for this club? What do you think? Have you ever played this club? Should I stay in the condo? Is it gross? Hey, I got a question for you. What's that? Have you ever done a porno? What the fuck are you talking about? You're like, no, there's this girl, she looked just like you. She looks just, and then I remember it was early stages of the internet, and I looked her up, and I'm like, whoa, damn, she does look like me.
See? But you know what, but that's how cool we've always been. I think now, I don't know any female comic I can say that to now, and then they wouldn't be, like, oh my God, I don't feel safe around him. You know what I mean? And because it was no malice toward it. I go, damn, looks like Tammy. You know what I mean? And that's how cool we were. I can go, hey, did you do a porno?
But you know something? I felt like comedy, and that's what I miss. I'll be really honest with you. I miss being part of an exclusive club, because that club transcended race, gender, religious backgrounds. We were all comedians. Yeah. So it was a very different time, because if you were you're a comic, dude. It wasn't somebody with a 7-minute monologue saying they were a comedian. You know what I mean? You knew everybody. We knew all 200 comedians who were working. I'm not saying that you physically knew them, but you knew the name, right? Because if they were above you, we all knew each other. And then what happened is we all started to move up at the same time, and then we didn't see each other, because everybody's working as a feature act, everybody's working as a headliner, and then you're not running into each other, and that's sad.
Now, when did you leave LA, and when you did, what was the deciding factor when you left? And was there a sense of, was there a sense of sadness or melancholy? Or, I mean, I was ready to go when I left, but at the same time, and I've always said this, I've never really felt the same sense. I mean, that was like because when you leave there, it's like you go there, maybe you're like me, you go there with dreams and this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And you always get like, a little nibble of this. I'm sure, like you said, after Tonight Show, you had to be thinking, this is it, it's my shot. And when it doesn't, and when you decided, okay, I'm done, I'm moving, was there a sense of sadness? And what was this? And what was the deciding factor for you to
No,
leave?
because I didn't know I was done. I mean, I still have my stuff in storage. I got to go get it. I was pregnant. I was 5.5 months pregnant. And for real, I use this joke in my act, but literally my agent looked at me and now these girls are doing specials pregnant.
Yes.
But my agent at the time said to me, don't forget, this is 13 years ago. My son is 13, said to me, or maybe 14 because you're pregnant, goes, if now baby, what are you gonna do? Like your career is over. He goes, you're never, who's gonna want you traveling when you're pregnant? You better pretend you're not pregnant. Thank God I was Hollywood emaciated, so I could hide it till I was 5 months pregnant. Then he said to me, he goes, no one is ever I've never seen a pregnant woman on stage. And I truly said to him, then you've never been to a really bad strip club, because that was,
We just
right?
talked about that.
So-
We just talked about, in our last podcast, I do another podcast called Sorry We're Canceled, and we just talk about going to the strip club and seeing the pregnant stripper. Yes.
So that's hysterical. Well, that literally, and I lived in that stripper colony, so I had been to a couple of bad strip clubs. You don't know stripping until you've been to Hammett on a Tuesday afternoon. But there's so we came to, I had a house in Pennsylvania. Well, we tried to go to Brooklyn, and my mother-in-law literally was like the mother from Everybody Loves Raymond, but meaner. And then we came to this house that I had as a getaway house in Pennsylvania. And we sold the TV show about right around the same time about me being a wife, a mother, and a comedian, and leaving LA, trying to raise my son around my family, because my family all moved to this town to follow me, to try to help me. And then we got landlocked here. And my husband likes it. He owns a bunch of businesses, and my kid loves it. It's great. And as long as I have an airport, I travel. Now it's funny because everybody left LA and they're trying to live regular life. But when I go to work, I drive an hour and a half to the airport, which is not cool, but in either direction, Pittsburgh or Cleveland. But I put down being a wife and a mom. And when I come home, I pick it right back up. So
where exactly do you live?
like
Where exactly do you live? Where exactly do you live?
Meadville, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
It's in between Erie and Pittsburgh. It's hell. I'm trying to write a new show called Deliver Us from Meadville, because it's horrible. But it's great for my kids. You know what I mean? Like, I got to leave here in a few minutes. I got to pick them up because it's got football practice.
Oh my God.
So,
We'll be on time. That's honestly, if you would have told me that 15 years ago, I'd have been like, oh my God. But now I get it. And I actually love it. I think it's the most beautiful thing in the world. And I really do. It's like watching that maturation of you, watching your career. And, and now I'm hearing stories I didn't know about. I mean, because like you said, man, that was before social media really, really, really took off. And it's like, I felt like we lost touch a little bit. And there was never any animosity. It was always, all right, good for Tammy. I was always good for you. When I saw you on Last Comic Standing, I was like, yes, good for you. And then, you lose that touch and then, okay, what happened here? What happened here? And then it's like, it's so funny because being on, I follow you on Twitter and this and that. And I go, what the hell? And then for some reason, I think I direct messaged you about something. It's because that picture, your old 8x10, one of the first ones, and you were like, oh, I can't believe I'm showing this.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, shut up, you still look good. And then I think that's when it all started. I was like, why not have Tammy on? It's like, because I've always respected what you did.
Yeah.
And honestly, and maybe it's because, and no disrespect, maybe it's because where you are in your life, but I don't know when this part started and you say you don't talk about the sex stuff, but then what do you feel now about the female comics talking about their vagina all the time and this and that, which in a way I have no problem. I get where they're going with that. I really do. I mean, yeah, I get that. But at the same time, like, you never went there. Did you ever think about that? Or was it because how you grew up and you were like, I'm not going to talk about that because that's not who I am?
Well, it's a combination of both. I didn't think, I thought like that, but I didn't talk about it on stage which maybe it wasn't as authentic as it should have been. So I kind of admire their authenticity if it's authentic.
Right.
Or if they're just saying it for shock value, that's a different story.
Right.
But I also, I mean, again, my end game wasn't fame. Like I wanted to be a comic for a long time. That's like my big goal was headlining comic, and whatever it took to get me to, like, I want to, you be a headliner and you get those credits and stand up. So I also know that I worry for them because it doesn't age well. Like, no one wants to see a 50-year-old, and you got to own it. No. You also got to own it, right? Like,
finish that thought. Nobody wants to see a 50-year-old talking about her vagina. Is that what you're going to talk about?
They really, I mean, no. Can we just say no? Or about giving head or stuff? Like, no one wants to hear that. Like, no, they don't care about that, And yeah, and it's funny because a lot of them, I get the worst comments that I ever get on social media are from like young girls telling me that I'm old. And I'm like, yeah, I am old. But let me tell you something. When I was your age, I wasn't tweeting the Golden Girls. I was out banging Lakers and dancing on tables. So let's get it straight. Let me show you what I was when I was 27. I'm old now. But you can't, I'll see you when you're my age. I will stay alive long enough. I got a list of names I wrote down I'm going to check in on in 25 years because I'm petty like that.
Okay, who are they? Who the girls? Who name? Put some names. First of all, two things. One, first of all, if you say you're old one more goddamn time, I swear to God, one more goddamn time you say you're old. And second of all, who are the Lakers you banged? Come on. Who are the Lakers you banged? That's what I want to know. I want the good.
I should say Lakers, plural.
Okay.
Not plural.
My God,
like, it's a lake. I was out banging Laker. Doesn't make sense. Wasn't like I was double teaming them. Man to man, I had a zone going on. Like, zone defense. Well, I had zone vagina. I mean, come on. That's not my joke. Now see who steals that.
God damn, Tammy. Fuck, this was too long in the making, man. It really is.
I know. I love you.
No, people don't understand, man. We go back. God damn, it's almost sentimental. It's like, seeing you on stage for the first, I was there for the first time you ever went on stage, and now to see where you are now, and you haven't changed a bit. You're still the same girl from the block. You're Tammy from the block, and you're from the boot, and the boot will kick your ass. I remember that shit. I'm from the boot, and the boot will kick your ass.
That's so funny.
God damn.
Remember that? I was just gonna post about that.
You should.
That's so funny. I was just going to post about that. I want to say this about you, though. I'm going to return the compliment because, first of all, you always stayed so positive. There were so many things that I was always, that's just in my bloodline to be negative. And you always were so positive and keep trying and were encouraging all the time. Always so funny. Every time your show always was like a pleasure to work with because I felt like it elevated my show, like when I was featuring for you, no matter what. And I'm going to tell you, you did a night shift or night flight or whatever, right? That show it was Night Flight or what? It was on TV. I remember watching you on it.
It was Black Scorpion on Sci-Fi Network. It's called Black Scorpion on the Sci-Fi Network. And yeah, it was a TV show. And check this out. For the residuals I got from that, right? I bought a truck that I still have. It's a 99 It's a 99 GMC Sierra. It has 419,000 miles on it. The HOA wants it out of the neighborhood now. Then the HOA and where I live, they say, we want that out of here now. And I go, yeah, make me. But yeah, 419,000 miles on it.
You live in an HOA? That's hysterical.
Well, we've all changed.
Who knew?
We've all changed. But
when I come to Indianapolis, I'm coming to see your HOA.
My God, man. I hope I'm not working. I want to be in town. We've got to, man, this was a long time in the making, Tammy. And I mean, wow, it's a good stroll down memory lane, sweetie. And I mean, from the bottom of my heart, what you've done, the trailblazing and all, and I mean that, man. Always kicking ass fresh material. And I just really think if you guys get a chance, and maybe it's where I'm at in my life or the stage, but you got to watch the Way After School special, because if you don't remember, everybody was a latchkey kid growing up. And ABC had the after school special, and that was like a great little thing you watched, and it was they were good, at least for back in the day. You might look at it now, look like Chips, and you go, "Oh, this was shitty." But when you're growing up and you have the after school special, remember you thought Chips was good, and you watch it now, and you go, "I can't believe I watched this shit." But yeah, you got to watch the Way After School special. I mean, that's great, and everything you've done from The View to the Tonight Show to you've been on Howard Stern, Last Comic Standing. It's success, well
Well,
deserved.
I'm excited over this new thing, this Blue Bloods thing. That's going to turn in hopefully to a recurring character. I did one episode of it, and it may turn into a recurring character. So that's exciting.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, sweetie. I mean, we will stay in touch, my friend. Anything else you want to plug?
Please do.
Anything else you want to plug before we get out of here?
No. No, I don't want to plug anything because it'll make it feel like business. I want to feel like we were just catching up because I love you and it was wonderful. And you're right, this was too long between, so I appreciate you.
We were catching up. God damn, man. Oh my God, this hits my heart. It hits in the feels, man. Fuck. Goddamn good times. Love you too, baby. I mean it from the bottom.
I love you.
You look beautiful. Go get your kid from football practice. I mean
You too.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I gotta go, right?
Go. You go.
Bad mom. I'm like, I moved here for him, but I just leave him hanging.
Go pick him up. Go pick him up. Have a good day, sweetie. Good to see you. This is BT from Tales from the Gemini. That was my friend Tammy Pescatelli. You can see her comedy specials. I think one of them from Netflix was number 3 at one time of all-time comedy specials on Netflix. Check out Tammy Pescatelli, a true comedy blazer. I hope you had a good time like I did. And if you didn't, hey, I'm sorry, because that was my friend, and that's the last time. And that was one of the few times we've talked in years. So I hope you enjoyed it like I did. And if you didn't, sorry, I did my best. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like I always say about this time, peace.